Welcome back to Nortman Reviews, everyone. I am your host, John, and I am looking at a couple of X-Men comic books. And if you know what these are, then this is going to be a prelude to what's coming up next. This is Legion Quest, Part 2 and Part 4. Because I don't got Part 1 and Part 3. I don't know why. Those were in Uncanny X-Men number and whatever. Those are Parts 1 and 3, and I just don't have those comics, and I wasn't actually going to look at all of them. I just wanted to look at this one. But then I was looking at this and like, it might be worth taking a quick glance through because Andy Kubert, I think I shit on him sometimes, but he can produce some good art. I do like him. His style kind of like I'm not always the biggest fan of, but I'm digging these covers. Like these grab my attention, especially this one. This is Legion. I'm not too terribly familiar with his backstory other than he's another son of Professor Xavier here, like fucking Protus was, and he's really powerful. And he had a TV show, right? On FX or something. I never watched that, but if you guys watch that, this is that guy. And he's like schizophrenic. He's not doing well. So I'll kind of pick up like tell you what's going on in the storyline as we go through it a little bit. But let's take a look at this. This is a nice cover. Grab your attention. What's going on here? So it starts off in the past, and there's Professor Xavier. It doesn't say the past, but we can kind of tell as we continue reading. And he's talking with somebody, and it's Magneto. And Magneto built a wheelchair, not for him because he still has the use of his legs, but he was able to craft this. And they, at this point in their lives, don't know that each other are mutants. This is like just when they're friends and they're going to discover it for sure. But this guy says, Xavier's like, it's lighter, it's more comfortable, more maneuverable. And it's better than anything out there. How are you able to do this? And this guy's like, I've always had a way with things made out of metal. And so, it's kind of a cool moment. He calls him Magnus. I think he was still, his name, they were always calling him Magnus. They didn't call him Eric Lenshare yet at the time. But there's these, they're friends and they work at this hospital or whatever together in the past. And they meet up with this guy, John Doe. Now, I don't remember, is this supposed to be Legion? Same hairstyle, it looks the same. Kind of a fun game here. I just did a Wolverine review on a couple of issues. And there's characters. Albert, Bloodscream, Cyber, LCD, that I didn't really know except from this video game. There's two different versions. I never played the Genesis version. Because Sabretooth wasn't in one of these. Never mind. I'll get to that later. Maybe. I might do some video game reviews. So there's the X-Men, and they're looking for a group of X-Men, part of the team, who were out to stop Legion for some reason. Jean Grey was part of it, and Angel finds Jean Grey there, picks her up. I always kind of like that drawing there. It's kind of sexy, especially her, her uniform ripped right at the thigh, hip, ass area. So many ads. Swimsuit specials, the Marvels by Alex Ross, and Avengers X-Men thing, statues, how to draw comics the Marvel way. That's cool. Cards, Typhoid Mary, Wolverine. Took the opportunity there. I wonder who drew that. Dark Phoenix Saga. Oh, hey, there's that picture I was talking about in those issues of Wolverine, that cover, and they put it on a shirt, but they colored it here. It would have looked better black and white, you fucks. X-Men, Captain Universe. Cool. Alright, so they're talking with Jean, and she wakes up. See, now that looks weird to me, right? like the jawline and everything, and how like the nose comes out. It just, that's a weird looking face. But then this looks good. I like this. The hands look good, and like the expression on her face. So she basically says that he wasn't shattered, schizophrenic shell of a man anymore. All the pieces were back. He was like cognizant, but he went back in time and he took the others with him. He doesn't say he went back in time, but they ask, where did he take them? Into the past, Charles, somewhere into your past. And so here they are. There's Psylocke with a short haircut, Iceman, Storm, and Bishop. And none of these guys can remember who they are. They know they have powers. They know they have this X symbol. And for some reason, they know that they are from the past. I mean, from the future. So that they know they're time displaced, but they just don't know why or what's going on or who they are. But now they figured out each other's names, so that's kind of good. You know, he's like, what are we? He has ice. She's a telepath. It's a very long neck. Mother, what's a long neck? What's that from? That's the pop quiz. There's an interlude here because all the X-Men are on a mission, and this is when Sabretooth was still their captive. Someone needed to look after him, so they called in Wolverine. Wolverine hadn't been around since like X-Men number 25. This is issue 40, so 15 issues. Finally, Wolverine come back. And he's here to keep an eye on Sabretooth. Then they had a rematch of the century in Wolverine number 90. I did a review of that with my brother Rob on his channel months and months ago. That was like one of the first ones we did together when his channel was still kind of new. So go look that up on his channel. That's a fun watch. So here's Magneto. He's talking with this guy, and somehow he gets mind blasted by this dude, and Magneto has like crazy nightmares with Nazis. They're all demonic looking because, of course, why wouldn't they be? It's a cool down shot. You know, Magneto's always been fucking ripped. Oh, that's a cool shadow back there with the helmet. So Magneto freaks out about what he could do. He figures out that he's a mutant, and this guy's like apologetic. He doesn't know who he is or what's wrong with him, why he's here. That must be Legion. It has to be, right? So Magneto, he gets pissed at him. He runs out. Can we name these artists? That's Bagley. That's Jim Lee. That's Jim Lee. Is that Dale Keown? Don't know who that is. Rabbis. And so Psylocke, she walks by Professor Xavier here, but doesn't recognize him because she doesn't have his memory. But there's something that triggers in her mind right here. And she looks back, and then he has a vague feeling about something that's going on. Magneto comes running up, kind of saying what happened, and like, that kid has to be a mutant. He doesn't say that, but he's basically telling Charles, like, you have to help him like you did with this other lady a few weeks ago. And when they get back, something fucking crazy is going on here. He's having these like weird like visions, projecting these visions. There's like Wolverine, Cyclops, Jean Grey. They obviously don't know what's going on with that. So anyways, back in the real world, or current world, they know they have to go back in time, and so they call on Cable. There's the outfit he was wearing in X-Men 97. This is like fucking ripped out of a Wildcats comic book, I swear. It's a weird design, like, what are with these, like the style of weird design ships back then, like, it's cool, I guess. Cable lost all his pouches. He lost his receding hairline. There's Domino with him. Cool stuff. They're in Israel, I think. The army is pissed at Cable because he's, I don't know, an outlaw. Yeah, we're wanted in so many countries, it's hard to keep track, Domino says to him. Just kind of reading through this quick. And then something happens, and they get a message from the Landra. Charles Xavier, a bit of greeting, former consort is, yeah. She's basically saying whatever's going on in your world, in your past, through the actions of his son, Legion, David Haller, pose a dire threat to the very fabric of all reality. Massive energies were required to establish its contact. The Encron crystal grows angrily, and communications between our worlds have been severely disrupted. And he's like, well, what? How do you know this? What is Legion doing, and how are his actions causing interstellar problems, and how can you know of any of this? And she says, don't ask me, ask the Watchers. They know. The whispered words of warning come from the mouths of the Watchers. So is she there now in person? No, that's still it looks like she's there, but I think that's still just a projection. Or maybe that's on her planet. That must be what it is. But it looks like they just showed up. So, when the Watchers say, hey, something fucked up is going on, you better listen, right? And there's more than one Watcher. There's several. It's a whole race of beings. So that's kind of cool. And then the next one is in Uncanny X-Men number whatever. Ooh, Maximum Carnage, man. That was kind of a fun game. Cool red cartridge. Cool soundtrack. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. But I don't have that part 3, so we're going to jump right into part 4. This was the actual comic book that I wanted to look at because of what it leads into. So we jump and we assume things happened, right? Let's look at the cover though again. This was always kind of cool. Magneto clutching a lifeless Xavier, but he's in his... I mean, we know this happens in the past, so this isn't the version of Magneto that does that, but it's still a cool image. So there are the X-Men in their standard gear, and they're like, oh, this fucking sucks 20 years ago. I think they have their memories back by now, and they're seeing something that's going on, and there's Legion with all his power fighting Magneto. Two drastically powerful mutants having this battle when it shouldn't have happened. Legion did not exist at this moment in time. So this event shouldn't be going on. So they're like, we gotta fucking do something. And they're saying, like, we know how Professor Xavier met Magneto, and this wasn't it. And, they're afraid it's gonna, they're gonna tear apart the city. So they're trying to figure out what happened to Xavier. They're not sure. There must have been some kind of explosion or something. So he's thrown for a loop for a little bit, and he regains his senses, and he's seeing what's going on. He says, we were watching a genetic atom bomb, and it's exploding over our heads. He understands, the severity of everything that's going on. So the X-Men are doing what they can, and Andy Kubert is doing what he can by taking the opportunities here. And it's a weird leg there. So Xavier comes running up. He puts his girlfriend here to sleep so she doesn't have to see what's going on. And Psylocke, being a telepath, must have reached out to Xavier. Storm comes down. She's telling him why he's such an important person. And he recognizes her. When she was a young child, she tried to pickpocket him. But she's an adult now because, future Storm. I played this game too. Man, there's some great comic book video games back in the day. I'm really close. I've been thinking about trying to find a way to do some reviews like this with some old video games. Go west, young man. What game is this? Red Dead Redemption? No, kidding. So back in the present, Xavier's talking to Lilandra. This is kind of stupid. I was reading through this earlier, and I'm like, I knew the Encron crystal was coming. And, but why is it coming? I understand there's stuff going on in the past as it's affecting the future, but why is the Enchron crystal affected so much? It's basically wiping out, existence. And he asks that, and she says, the specific details still elude the crystal's appointed Nexus guard, but I do know we lost communication with several outposts across the Shi'ar Imperium. So there's a crystallization wave coming, and it's devouring entire star system throughout the universe. And after the wave washes over them, it is as if they simply cease to exist. So, I don't know. You just, butterfly effect. Something happened in the past affects the future. So he's saying, so that means the X-Men failed in the past. And he wants to be with Lilandra. He's still, they're still in love, but they can't touch each other because she's a fucking hologram. Not a bad image of, standard kind of hero shot, but well executed. Rogue and Gambit, they're there. They're like, what the fuck are we going to do about anything? And Gambit lights up a cigarette. But she's like, quit fucking smoking and come close to me, even though I'm not going to touch you right here. But just hold me, I guess. Archangel, he's doing the woe is me thing. He's like, I finally found someone I love. Psylocke, which I never understood the pairing of Archangel and Psylocke. But whatever. But she's in the past, so he's kind of going to insert himself to be a third wheel with Cyclops and Jean Grey. He was like, hey, that threesome we've always talked about? And they're like, no. Well, we should start talking about it. Back in the past, the battle between Magneto and Legion is still going on, and it's, there's news reports on it. And here's Apocalypse, and he is seeing what's going on, and he's like, so it begins, over a decade earlier than my sinister associate predicted. We all know who that is, right? I can't think of something funny. I was going to say something like it's Toad. Yeah, but no, it must be talking about Mr. Sinister. For him, it will be a revelation of both ecstatic and infuriator proportions. Although the genetic tree he has so meticulously watched over for decades is bearing fruit far sooner than he anticipated. At least the time of blooming has finally arrived. That the order of ascension begins now, and may the fittest survive the challenge. So, Age of Apocalypse is coming, right? And here's Apocalypse, and he sees what's going on. He's like, I'm going to take advantage of this situation. So, Magneto, Legion, they're still fighting, still yelling. So many words going on, yelling back at Xavier, Xavier yelling back at him. He's my son, no way, blah, blah, blah. So what Legion wants to do, he wants to kill Magneto in the past because he feels that if he kills Magneto, Xavier's dream could be realized. Magneto was like putting a stop to it. So he wants to kill Magneto. The X-Men are like, no, we can't do that, so they're going to intervene. Magneto gets hit, taken out. Yeah, he's falling from up here. Storm catches him. Iceman goes up, and he fucking freezes his ass. He's putting you on ice, pun intended, dude. So he puts Legion on ice, freezes his ass. Every single molecule of water within his body. So that's kind of a crazy thing that Iceman can do. He is an Omega level mutant. You'll learn later. So they're like, cool, I did a great job. But as always, that's not going to work. They're talking about Cable warned them from the future, so he must have sent back a message to them. And then Psylocke can feel his mind kind of opening up again. He's like, he's not defeated. His thoughts, they're about to explode. And they do explode, and they fuck everybody's minds up, and he de-ices himself. He defrosts. So he picks up Magneto, and he's like ready to throw down again. And Magneto's like, you're going to condemn me for something I haven't done? This is morality. This is justice. He's like, yes! He's like, I know what's inside you. I know what you're going to do. If I kill you now, Magneto, things will have to be better in the future. They can't get much worse, eh? Charles Xavier will make the world right, and he and my mom and I will be together. So Xavier wants to stop him. He comes running. He has this like weird, not a psychic knife, but some kind of crazy energy blade in his, he creates. And he brings it back, and he's going to plunge it into his face, but here comes Xavier. And as he thrusts forward, Xavier takes the hit, and it goes right into Xavier's brain. And he's dead. The end. More ads. So he's, Legion kind of freaks out as he falls over. He's like, wait, this is impossible. You can't be dead. If you're dead, that means, and he just realizes he's never going to be born. The X-Men aren't going to be created. And it's kind of a crazy shot. Well executed by Andy Kubert. Kind of that warping of reality, stretching of existence or whatever. So that happens to Storm, Iceman, Psylocke, and Legion, but it doesn't happen to Bishop. X-Men were never created. All save one time displaced man. His mind damaged by the energies which rip Legion and the other X-Men away. Hi, Rusty. Bishop remains the sole survivor of a world which is now lost, possibly forevermore. So Bishop, because of he's a time traveler logic, he wasn't affected, I guess. That makes sense. So in the back, Magneto is, cradling Xavier's dead body, and he's really upset. He's like, you died to save me. And he's like, you're a mutant. And they had conversations about mutants and what they need to do and what Xavier's dream was, those same old conversations. So at this point, Magneto sees the sacrifice and he takes up Charles Xavier's dream. It cuts to Magneto in present day. He's mind fucked from Xavier, ironically, which leads to the Onslaught stuff. They're on Avalon, Asteroid M, whatever. Mindless. And there's the Acolytes, there's Exodus. They all get crystallized and frozen by the M'Kraan crystal, right? They're in space, so it hits them first. The crystallization wave, destruction of all realities, continues its inexorable onslaught towards the blue-green world called Earth. And the X-Men see it coming, this wave, and there's nothing they can do about it. And this is when Rogue and Gambit, she pulls him in and they kiss. Now this comes up later in issues after all this, and I've done a bunch of videos between the two of them about how she sees something in his mind and his past that he doesn't want people to know. That's a big plot point. And then it goes through a bunch of other issues of X-Men, X-Men related stories about what's going on. I don't know. I mean, this is Adam X. He's fighting... Who's this Shi'ar guy? Red something. I forget his name. There's Wolverine and Sabretooth when Wolverine popped his claws through his brain. This is in X-Force, and they're confronting this guy. I forget his name, but it's this big new villain in X-Force. He had a big cape, kind of a Magneto version. Takes his mask off, and I think it's revealed here that it's Sunspot. What is that? I don't know. There's Generation X. Nothing happened with them. This must have been an X Factor. There's Strong Guy. Looks like he's dead or hurt. There's the X-Men. Gambit and Rogue in the background, and Xavier pulls up close on him. They're all crystallized by the M'Kraan crystal. And then they shatter. And that's the end. That's the end of this reality. And that's the end of the book. So from here, it jumps into Age of Apocalypse. So I wasn't going to do these issues, but I thought it might be kind of fun and cool. Hey, another good game. To look at this really quick before I jump into the Age of Apocalypse storyline. I'm going to start with X-Men Alpha, and then we're going to do several of these. We're not going to do all of these because I don't have them all. We're going to do Astonishing X-Men, Amazing X-Men, Generation X, Gambit the Externals, and Weapon X. I had one issue of Factor X. That's kind of a cool storyline going on there. X-Man, Excalibur. I never did anything with those. I I don't remember him being, even when I read him later, I don't remember him being that terribly interesting. If you guys really want to see these 3, let me know, and I'll see if I can track them down. I think one of my other brothers has them. I could do it, but I definitely have these 5. But we're going to start with this, with a cool cover by Joe Mad. And again, I need your thoughts of how I should do this. Should I do all 4 issues of Astonishing X-Men, then do all 4 issues of Amazing X-Men, then do Generation X, and then, so you see like that whole 1 through 4 storyline? Or do you think I should do issue 1, issue 1, issue 1, issue 1, issue 1, 1 week, and then the next week do issue 2s, issue 3s, stuff like that? How would you like me to do it? Right now, I'm leaning towards starting with each issue 1, so we're seeing like it in real time kind of a thing. So stuff that happens over here, we won't be spoiled by issue number of stuff in this by issue 4 of that. Whatever. So let me know your thoughts on this, but Age of Apocalypse is coming, man. I've been talking about it for a long time. I've been wanting to do it for a long time. It's one of the heights of my youth of reading comics. So I'm very excited to get into it. So thank you for watching. Cool issues. I mean, one thing I will say about Andy Kubert, he's always been really good about doing covers. And I think Dario, How to Draw a Comic, like one of my subscribers, he has his own channel, and he did a video on Andy Kubert. So those are some cool stuff. So he should chime in and say where people can go see that video. Cool covers. Semi-interesting story that ultimately leads into a much more epic, grandiose, world-changing event in Age of Apocalypse that we're going to watch. So, thank you for watching this video. As always, I will see you in the next video.